The astrology of February 2025 is going to be moving us forward again in a massive way. And when I say forward, that is because I am talking about Jupiter going direct, Mars going direct. These are two of the biggest transits of February, and I very much want to dive into them and explain how this could be affecting the world, and of course how this could be affecting you and me, and of course how astrology is just a perfect mirror of reality, and how these movements forward, these two massive planets moving forward again, are very much going to be a continuation of such life-changing astrology that we've been dealing with over the last 5 weeks. Not that astrology before the last 5 weeks has not been life-changing enough, but January 2025 very much kickstarted a massive shift of consciousness and energy into a new world order, some might say, but also the final beginning. And I say final beginning because this really, in my opinion, is like the final awakening within ourselves for us to realize what we need to do, what we need to change, and the kind of journey we're all embarking on individually as we progress out of the last couple of years. With Saturn in Pisces and Pluto flirting in and out of Aquarius, we are now anchored in to very new realities and new potentials for our own lives. And this 2025, the beginning of 2025, is the beginning of the end of a life that we once were living into new lives and new potentials that we must fearlessly embark upon. So February's big, my friends. February's big. I mean, we're going to start off with Venus conjoining Neptune, and then Venus will then down the line conjoin Neptune again when Venus goes retrograde mid-March, or early March rather. So that's going to be something big we talk about briefly in this video. But really what I honestly want to talk about today is Mars going direct again after being retrograde for 2.5 months. I want to talk about Jupiter going direct after being retrograde about 4 months now, since October, mid-October. And then we have a full moon in Leo on our hands. And then, of course, we have a Pisces new moon that will conclude February. And I think that's going to be a really powerful new moon because of all the Pisces activity we've been dealing with in the last month and a half. But honestly, over the last 2 years, considering Saturn has been co-present with Neptune in such a big way. And both Saturn and Neptune are on their way out very, very shortly for their first flirtation into Aries. So this new moon in Pisces, along with the North Node that shifted recently into Pisces last month, we are very much talking about a birthing moment, a moment for massive intentions for the Piscean part of your life. So the beginning of February kind of starts strong with a Venus-Neptune conjunction, and we'll talk a little bit about that, even though later in the month I want to actually make a whole video, I think, on that, because I feel Venus and Neptune, this is going to be the last time Venus and Neptune kind of meet up in a double dose kind of way. First, this first conjoining while Venus is direct, and then as we get into late March, Venus will conjoin Neptune one final time while retrograde. And then by the time Venus goes direct again in March, late March, early April, Neptune will already be in Aries. So Venus, while going direct again, as we in the spring, Venus will not make another conjunction with Neptune, for I think another 100 or so years, if I'm not mistaken, because I think when Neptune goes back into Pisces in the fall again, I don't think Venus will be anywhere near Pisces again. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I didn't look that far ahead in the charts, to be honest, but this Venus retrograde is really important. I mean, Venus retrograde conjoining Neptune in Pisces right before Neptune heads into a new frontier in the Aryan fire to really kickstart the era of fire and air. It's definitely something I not only want to touch on here today, but in the near future, of course, especially because Mercury going retrograde with Venus in the next month and a half or so that's even further continuation of life-changing astrology. And that probably will be more of the story when I do the monthly March forecast. But yeah, guys, we have a lot to cover. I mean, we're dealing with life-changing astrology. Things are moving forward. The winter of retrograde stalling out, self-reflection, and kind of re-strengthening things with the Mars retrograde and all of the aspects that Mars has been making to Pisces, and of course, things that Jupiter has been doing in the sky for so long. This very much is the month where things start moving again. We start to feel energy. We start to understand more of our lives, the reality of our life. We take all of the meditations and contemplations we've been having over the last couple of months, and we very much have hopefully a clearer vision of what we need to do, where we need to go, things we need to believe in again. Okay, Jupiter is very much a planet of belief and understanding and the deeper contemplations and teachings of life. And that kind of is hard for Jupiter to do sometimes in Gemini, because Jupiter obviously is in exile and doesn't really have a good time with the fast-moving, chaotic, mutable energy of Gemini, but it tries its best and it expands anything it needs to expand there and brings hopefully deeper insight to the chaos of the Gemini nature of our lives, wherever Gemini is in your birth chart. So this energy moving forward again is going to put a match to a dry haystack and very much allow this expansion again to move forward and to aggressively bring to you whatever information and insight and further movement that needs to come. Jupiter going direct will very much provide that. And then, of course, we'll touch on the full moon in Leo this month, which is going to be a powerful revealing in something going on in the Leo part of your life. Again, full moons are transits and lunar cycles that reveal something that was once hidden. We're going to talk about that. And especially that this full moon will be going opposite Mercury in Aquarius. And Mercury in Aquarius, which began around the new moon in Aquarius last month, is a very big transit for a lot of the themes we're seeing in the collective, a lot of the themes we're seeing in the Aquarian Platonic story that is the world shift of consciousness, global events, global affairs, and of course, the massive story that Pluto in Aquarius will be playing out in your life for the next 20 years. But these first couple of years of Pluto in Aquarius, we all kind of have those first little baby steps of understanding of what life change and what profound transformations could be coming our way. And I know in my last video, I shared a lot about my fourth house Aquarian story involving my family transitions and a lot of what's going on in my life. And I'll be sure to share possibly some more personal insights in this video as well. So my friends, if you are new to the channel, my name is Joe Theodore. I'm an astrologer, of course, and we like to get cozy here. We like to talk about astrology. We like to muse. I like to know, of course, what's going on in your life. So, yeah, that being said, if you are new and you enjoy this video, I mean, continue watching maybe before you decide if you would like to subscribe. But if you're enjoying thus far, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, hitting the notification bell, and of course, leaving a comment. I love reading your comments. So many other people in the community here on YouTube enjoy reading comments and learning even more from other people's experiences. So please feel free to leave a comment. I would love to read them. And also, my friends, if you would like to book a reading with me, I am a full-time consulting astrologer. Links down below to head over to my website. I offer 90-minute Zoom readings. And yeah, feel free to book yourself a reading, and I would love to see you over Zoom. And also, I have a Patreon in which I do weekly moon transit forecasts every Monday. And very soon, I'll be providing a lot of extra content, including some tarot readings, maybe. So I don't know if anyone's interested in tarot work, but I do like to do tarot every now and then. It's not something I do publicly on YouTube, but if you're interested in that kind of stuff, maybe let me know in the comments, and because that stuff might be coming soon to my Patreon. That being said, my friends, let's dive right in. So Venus-Neptune conjunction in Pisces at 27 degrees. This is happening on February 1st. And like I said earlier, this is a transit that I very much want to touch on later in the month. because we're going to be dealing with a retrograde Venus sooner than later. But this is something that's happening fresh as soon as you guys probably see this video. I mean, this is happening on February 1st. So we're dealing with two planets that are very creative, very inspiring. Okay, so when we have the beauty and the pleasure and the expansion of creative understanding and of love, even with the dreamy, spiritual, inspirational planet of Neptune, I think this is going to be a very beautiful transit for a lot of awakening of creativity and beauty and harmony within that part of your life. So I very much see this conjunction as kind of a beautiful awakening of some kind. I think the Piscean realms of awakening and deep spiritual understanding, meeting the Venusian, the loving, pleasurable, and creatively expressive planets, them meeting together is, to me, a spark of invention, a spark of very powerful, deep, loving revelation. So on the world stage, guys, I don't even really want to start commenting on what this transit can mean, because I know a lot of things in the world are kind of wonky and weird. But at the same time, we can't ignore the power of Venus and Neptune. These are the two creative planets that we need in our life to be great artists, to be great visionaries, to be to embody the energy of creation itself. You know, this is a very loving transit, in my opinion. This is very, very powerful for even the story going on within the Piscean for you. Of course, even with Saturn there as well, because again, Saturn has been doing its own bag of tricks over the years, involving a restructuring and a re-strengthening of something going on in the Pisces part of your life. And I feel as we're getting towards the tail end of the Venus-Saturn transit, to have Venus kind of, or the Neptune-Saturn transit rather, going into Aries soon, this Venus transit happening towards the tail end of the Saturn and Neptune story, to me is very significant and symbolic, because Venus is exalted in Pisces. And I feel we're trying to wrap up the Saturn-Neptune cycle with an element of beauty and pleasure and inspiration of some kind. And I think people are trying their best out there to very much get in tune, maybe more spiritually, with something deeper, something more loving. People, I think, are longing for deeper connection involving love and interconnectedness. And maybe that part of the Pisces part of your life is very much longing for that too. So this could be a very great time to sink in to maybe even some kind of loving kindness meditations. You know, I know there's all types of meditations out there, but this could be a very good transit to start off February, where we sink into maybe a little bit more spiritual love, if you will, however that looks like to you. I mean, to me, the Buddhist path of loving kindness meditations are very heart-opening. And I would say for this Venus-Neptune transit, of course, many astrologers have different takes on this, but I think Venus being such a beautiful, pleasurable planet, exalted in Pisces, meeting up with another highly enlightened planet, this could be a great time to sink in to the deeper nature of ourselves and the deepest expressions of love, and how that could even spark further invention and creativity in your life. Now, February 4th, this is really the transit I honestly want to talk about a lot, because Jupiter, to me, is one of the best and most healing and awakening type planets that we can have in our lives. And wherever Jupiter transits, we are learning and healing and expanding our consciousness in ways that I feel no other planet honestly can. So Jupiter retrogrades rather, to me, are periods of self-reflection. Jupiter typically wants to expand us. Jupiter typically wants us to learn deeper wisdom within that particular house topic theme of life. Jupiter, when going direct, brings us opportunity, blessings, miracles even, anything that can provide us deep spiritual expansion. And typically deep spiritual expansion can translate to a lot of material expansion, of course, because when we open our consciousness and minds and hearts up enough in that particular area of your life, usually that part of your life gains blessings, gains opportunity, even luck, right? Which would also go hand in hand with opportunity. So while Jupiter was direct in Gemini, most obviously all of the summer into the fall up until October when it went retrograde, I feel all of us in the Gemini part of our lives either were short-circuiting, getting more overwhelmed, meeting a ton of new people, talking a lot, getting way too much information flooded into our nervous system and into our minds and consciousness. But at a level where I think we needed that in order to now, throughout these months of self-reflection with Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, to kind of understand like, okay, wow, what was that circus and that rodeo that we were going through? Like, what was going on in the world? I mean, do you remember how wild the summer was when Biden stepped down, Kamala Harris stepped up in politics, and then Trump went crazy because it was like the whole Trump administration trying to reorganize how they're going to go against Kamala Harris versus Joe Biden. Like, and Trump has wild Gemini placements. So, I mean, we're talking about how Jupiter and Gemini just exploded the media, exploded social media, and everything in the middle involving communication, guys, right? I mean, do you remember that time? Wild. But in our own life, again, wherever Gemini is, we're talking about a place in our lives where communication is very important. A place where we can absorb a lot of information very quickly to the point of it being really overwhelming. So when Jupiter is in Gemini, you know, it's very hard for the depths of Jupiter, the higher understandings of global affairs, and even just spirituality and deeper understandings of philosophy. That, you know, Jupiter brings us philosophy and deep wisdom, which also can lead to healing, of course, and awakening. So in Gemini, this is kind of a difficult task for Jupiter sometimes, which means it just expands and explodes and wants to just throw all the shit against the wall and see what sticks into your consciousness, right? You know that old saying, throw enough S against the wall and see what sticks? Jupiter was just throwing everything against the wall in that part of your life and going, okay, well, what's most beneficial to you? What do you need to get out of your life? What don't you need? What do you need? Start trimming the fat. Start going over all of this stuff very meticulously. And seeing what is really needed, what is really going to be beneficial in the Gemini part of your life, right? So now, since Jupiter has been retrograde for so many months, we've been in kind of I'm sure a lot of you have felt a little foggy in Gemini. I mean, a little self-reflective. I mean, in my life, I was going really, really fast in a particular area of my life. I was expanding and growing really, really fast. In a particular area of my life, I was striving to learn a lot and to get a lot of things done there. And then while Jupiter was slowing down and when it went retrograde, I kind of had to take a moment to say, am I really doing what I want to do here? Am I really learning what I actually want to learn here? Is all this information that I've been absorbing myself in, is this really all of the knowledge and wisdom and the understanding and the education that I need to incorporate into my life? Because for me, Jupiter in the 8th house, for me, I was learning a lot of deeply spiritual and occult type of material. I was very much deep into studies involving the existential nature of life and kind of even reflecting on my own life in the 8th house matters for me. And I very much was having moments where I was going in and out of many existential crises, if you will. And it really took me up until about last month to kind of realize wow, all these things I was getting tuned up and crazy about and existential about, it kind of took a lot of meditation, just a lot of time and patience as well to go and move forward. I really needed to practice patience with Jupiter and Gemini 8th house for me. And I really needed to sink into more spiritual practice within my own, psyche, of course, again, deep meditation, calming the mind, very much sinking in to the things in my life that were bringing me existential overwhelm. And only as of recently have I very much let go of a lot of things that I needed to let go of. I've meditated deeply enough to understand all that stuff I was getting wrapped up in throughout the summer into the fall, all those things I was participating in, involving the type of learning and understandings I was incorporating into my studies. I realized I don't need that kind of stuff. I don't need those types of beliefs. I don't need all that esoteric spiritual study that I thought I was going to make a part of my life. and instead kind of just stick to the script of my life and continue on a path that I always knew was right and true for me. And Jupiter brought me that truth, that I already was on the right path, that I don't need to go crazy in all this Gemini 8th house stuff that involves deep existential psychological knowledge. And as an astrologer, I've been studying many things over the years, so this very much was a challenge of my belief systems to a degree. So Jupiter moving forward now with all of this knowledge and understanding and meditation conquered and under my belt, I now know how I should properly expand myself, properly integrate and continue on a certain path of study and understanding, where I can just continue to expand my consciousness in that part of my life, and then also continue to be a service to others in the process. Now, the integration phase of Jupiter is going to last until April 29th, until it gets back to 21 degrees Gemini. So the integration phase after any retrograde is very important. And I think this integration phase, as it begins now, is that moment for all of us where we will be able to meditate further, be able to further reflect even on the Jupiter retrograde that we just went through, but we're going to be doing it hopefully with much clearer awareness. So whenever the Gemini chaos continues, because Gemini chaos will continue to flourish alive and well, even more so while Jupiter's direct probably, but at least we've gone through the self-reflection period while retrograde to deeply understand, hopefully, what we needed to understand. Now, on February 12th, the full moon in Leo will go opposite Mercury at 26 degrees Aquarius. Now, Leo, very much understand the Leo part of your life. Mars is very much going to be a part of the Leo part of your life as we go into the spring and almost until the early summer, because that's how long it's going to take for Mars to get back into Leo and then to transit through, all the way through Leo. And this full moon very much is going to illuminate something that was once hidden there. And going opposite Mercury, we are talking about potentially a challenge of communication between the Aquarian part of your life and the Leo part of your life. So I wouldn't be surprised if something that was once hidden gets illuminated in the Leo part of your life, but also is very much in tune to the events that are going on in Aquarius for you. So that is something very much to keep in mind for this full moon in Leo. Full moons in Leo, very much, in my opinion, and again, this is all very subjective to your own experience, right? Where these full moons and these new moons and transits fall, I mean, you have to do your own work on how these things are going to manifest for you. But essentially, full moons in Leo illuminate something that can hopefully bring us more passion, power, courage, energy to embark upon something new. I feel full moons reveal something to us that are always beneficial for our growth, just like all astrology. Everything in astrology, at the end of the day, when you understand what a transit means, it is all for the betterment, for you to make a decision. Is this going to evolve my life, or is this going to devolve my life? And we have to be aware of how we can constantly evolve the transits in astrology to our benefit, to our evolutionary karmic process in this lifetime. So this full moon in Leo, coming February 12th, will be a very big transit for illuminating something that was once hidden in the Leo part of your life, something that will provide you courage, passion, fire, and whatever the Mercury story is in Aquarius, this also will be a part of this moment of revealing, in my opinion. So we have to very much be connected to whatever is going on in Aquarius in your life. Be very, very connected to what Mercury in Aquarius means for you. And I said all of January, this was going to be a powerful transit, the Mercury Aquarius transit that gets triggered by the new moon in Aquarius. And this is going to be a story that plays out throughout mid-February as we head into late February, because Mercury will be it'll be on its way out during this full moon cycle. Only a few more days after this full moon, and Mercury is moving on to Pisces. Now, the next big transit for February is February 24th, where Mars goes direct at 17 degrees. And this integration phase will last up until May 2nd, my friends, when it gets back to 6 degrees Leo. And then Mars does not leave Leo until June 17th. So can you believe that? This Mars retrograde cycle has been going on for months, almost half a year, if you can believe that. Mars got into Cancer, I believe it was mid to late September, if I'm not mistaken, and very much transited all through Cancer up until it got to 6 degrees Leo, right around right around early December, right? That's when it went retrograde. And we've been dealing with a Mars retrograde in Cancer ever since. So now, February 24th, Mars finally goes direct in Cancer at 17 degrees. What does this mean? Well, what do you think it means, guys? Mars is about to begin the integration phase of everything that was halted, everything that needed to be restructured and restrengthened, everything that you have learned and have been putting into action, even though moving forward completely in a very passionate, Mars aggressive, assertive like way probably was toned down a lot. Now we are going to have that opportunity to push on, to move forward, to take all of the Martian significations, all of the Martian passions, all of the Martian aggression, and to interject all of the things that we've been wanting to interject into the Cancerian part of your life, the events that have been most powerful for you there. And this is really going to be the beginning of this Mars retrograde conclusion. So for me, Mars going direct is a massive, massive story. And I'm probably going to talk more about that in an upcoming video at some point because it's just way too big to ignore. But essentially, my friends, I mean, Mars in Cancer is kind of emotionally distressed. Mars in Cancer is frustrating. It brings us a lot of trials and tribulations involving like the emotional nature of that part of your life, you know? Like all of us have a story with our Cancer placements. It's a place of high sensitivity. It's a place where we need nurturing there. Honestly, we do. We need to know where our moon is also in our birth chart, because where our moon is in our birth chart is very much tied to the Cancer Mars story. So where your moon is in your birth chart and how that is being affected in the Cancer part of your life with this Mars retrograde that is now going to be direct, we are also going to feel so invigorated because our moon is going to be set free in a way. Like if you really think about it, where the moon is in your birth chart has been very much influenced by this Mars retrograde in some way, shape, or form, in my opinion. I mean, I know I've been feeling that. And for me, it's been quite the journey to really dive deeper within myself and how I operate on an internal level, and the ninth house for me of Cancer, where I very much have been in a lot of deep, again, back to that existential stuff I've been dealing with the Jupiter retrograde. For me, the ninth house in this story in my life with Mars retrograde and now going direct again, obviously, is all about just being able to adopt the belief systems that I feel are most important to me versus screwing around and trying to study other philosophies and spiritualities to incorporate into my work or into my own spiritual personal practice that I need every day in order to continue my healing. And for me, my moon, that part of my life too, was very much tied in to the Mars retrograde story. And I'm so thankful for this Mars retrograde because it really allowed me to have profound emotional moments that I needed to have with myself on a very personal level, to get revealed and to have those very powerful awakening moments, even to understand the movements that I need to move, or the directions I need to move in that particular part of my life in order to become a more embodied person. So all the things that have been putting me through trials and tribulations in Cancer in my ninth house can kind of come more full circle if that makes sense, come full circle for me to now see the clear road that I need to now drive down, if that makes any sense, guys. So Mars going direct is huge. And please, like, where is Cancer in your life? I don't know if I've asked you guys this in a prior video, but let me know where Cancer is in your life. And like, what are you looking forward to when Mars goes direct? Because for me, Mars going direct is just sort of like I'm just getting a vision of like a dog that's like pent up in a little cage, and it's like the owner is just about to open up the cage, and as soon as the cage gets open, the dog just shoots out. But the dog in the cage knew the whole time what it wanted to do once it got out of the cage. It's like all of us, I think, know what we want to do now. I think we all kind of have a sense of what we want to do or what needs to be done in that Cancer part of your life, and even the Leo part of your life, because we started off this retrograde in the Leo part of our lives. And I think we're all ready to just get the show on the road again. And this is going to be a powerful integration phase as we head into the spring. And as Mars gets back into Leo, and as Mars gets through Leo heading into June. So Mars is going to be off to the races on the collective world stage. I'm a little worried that we could maybe get into some war or anything that involves Martian territory, that involves conflict, because I feel after every Mars retrograde, when we look at the world, we do see an escalation of conflict, whether that's conflict within just politics, and there's no shortage of that in the world right now. But on the world stage, there's always, I don't know, I mean, just based on prior Mars retrograde transits, there is a history of conflict escalating. And can you blame that? Because, I mean, look at the analogy I just used with the dog pent up in a cage. That dog is ready to fight. That dog is ready to roll and rock and roll. So things that have kind of been put on pause or things that have kind of been calming down always have the potential to spark up again. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen as soon as Mars goes direct, but it's going to happen sooner than later, I would like to think, in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah, my friends. And then the last thing I want to touch on, honestly, is the new moon in Pisces. The new moon in Pisces, again, is going to be a beautiful conclusion to the February month. I think this is going to provide us with a very powerful birthing moment in the Piscean part of our lives. And remember, we've had Saturn there, restructuring, re-strengthening. We've had Saturn restricting us maybe a little bit over the last 2 years in the Piscean. We've been learning a lot of lessons there. We've been learning how to structure and build something there that maybe was kind of just, again, everybody's Pisces story is a little different. In my case with Saturn and Pisces these last 2 years, the fifth house, very much all about restructuring and kind of building a new creative path for myself in order to incorporate into my business, right? Like doing YouTube and doing other social medias and kind of understanding the power of building a platform, for example. So I think this new moon, again, being this final new moon, maybe not the final new moon where we see Neptune, because Neptune and Saturn will still be in Pisces a little bit more, right, into the fall, into early winter 2026. But in this moment in time, with the North Node still there, and the North Node will be there next year too, 2026 a little bit. But this new moon, for everything that's been going on there, in this moment in time, the initiatory expansion and birthing of all of the things happening in Pisces, including this first taste of the North Node there, this new moon will very much birth something and allow us to offer some powerful intentions to set us up actually too for the final launch of Saturn and Neptune into Aries. So this is a really great moment, I feel, at the end of the month to kind of very much plant seeds and to put forth some great spiritual, deep, emotional intentions in that part of your life, almost like a send-off prayer, a send-off blessing. Like very much speak to the Piscean part of your life, speak to what Saturn has taught you, speak to the Neptune part of your life, and, try to see where you could birth something from all of the things we've learned there, because I think Pisces is going to be one of the biggest zodiac sign parts of our lives, right? The biggest theme of life house topic through 2025 into 2026, obviously, with the North Node still transiting there. And with the back and forth of Saturn and Neptune going back into Pisces a little bit. This could be a massive moment for us to set that intention in a really, really, really big way, or to ask for something to be revealed to us there in maybe the following full moon cycle. You know what I mean? And we can't forget the eclipses are coming too very, very soon. And this is going to be part of the following month, in my opinion. So we're very much close to eclipse territory, and we're very much close to very much birthing an entire new reality involving the Piscean. All right, my friends. Well, that is my February forecast in a way, and we're going to have a lot more to talk about as February comes along. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.